Minggu depan minggu yang penting untuk Malaysia ya, kerana untuk menjadi negara maju kita tidak hanya melihat pada indeks kekayaan yang kita ada, tapi perjuangan di pentas antarabangsa yang kita lakukan, dan antara perjuangan yang walaupun kita hanyalah negara yang sederhana sifatnya, tetapi kita besar dalam memperjuangkan isu keadilan kerana kita ada forum terutamanya pada minggu depan, dan kita ada Suruhanjaya yang akan mendengar rintihan saksi-saksi yang menyaksikan ketidakadilan yang terbesar di dunia yang sedang berlaku di Palestin. Ada juga Suruhanjaya akan mendengar saksi tentang kejadian 9/11. Tetapi saya ingin meneruskan perbincangan ini, I would like now to continue with Derek and Jenny on what it feels like to stay in Gaza, because it's nothing like being with the people of Gaza, to feel the whole weight of the issue that we're discussing right now. There's even one time when I was discussing with a Palestinian official, and he said to me that, why are you always talking and mentioning Gaza and not West Bank? So, but my answer was, because as a journalist, I see more problems in Gaza in that sense for now. It's not that we're comparing, but if we cannot help those in Gaza, how can we help anyone else in the whole wide world, for example? So if you can paint to the audience and me the picture of what life every day in Gaza is nowadays.
Yeah, Gaza is probably the noisiest place you could ever live on this earth. We have, every day we have drones overhead, we have F-16s. Because of we're rationed with electricity. We have electricity maybe 6-8 hours a day. So we have generators going. So it's noisy, it's always noisy. There's no peace, even for the children. Life is hard in Gaza. Everything has to come through the tunnel systems. Gaza it's a prison. We're blockaded land, sea and air, but we're also, a lot of Palestinians are blockaded in their mind because of the siege. It's a constant siege. Everything is closed in, and there's no freedom, there's no access to life outside of Gaza. But yet, with all of that, hope has never been lost in Gaza, in Palestine in general. In Gaza, we can talk about. People still believe, they still have hope, for the future, for their children, and they will do whatever it takes to make sure that that hope stays alive. And you get that sense from living in Gaza, or even just visiting Gaza. You will get that sense from everybody you meet, that yes, life is hard, very, very hard, but the hope is still there that one day they will be free, they will have independence, they will have their dignity back, which is all they were asking for. Really, in the end, they want their dignity, their independence, the same as the rest of us want, for our children, for our grandchildren. This is what life is in Gaza.
We're talking about safety and access to safety, but even if we have that, for example, because Malaysians take for granted that we can go to school.
Yeah.
If we do well, we can walk into any university that we like, if we are approved to go in and find the best work that we have. But what hope is there for somebody growing up in Gaza there?
This is the hardest part. You must realise that Gaza is an actual prison. It is a prison.
Effectively a prison.
It is. You're talking 1.7 million people in an area. It's 26 miles by 4 miles wide. It is the third most densely populated area in the world. There is very high unemployment. Unemployment for the youth is over 80%. So there's no industries. There's nothing. So realistically, the outlook for the youth is very bleak.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have anything to look forward to, it's very hard to build your mind, keep your mind safe, and keep going. So with the people in Gaza, they keep going, but it's getting harder and harder each day on these people. And you always have this constant threat of airstrikes. You had, like Jenny says, you have the F-16s and the drones overhead, and the F-16s regularly break the sound barrier, so that there's a loud sonic boom, which frightens the people as well. Then you also have the situation where the Israelis have taken away, inside Gaza, they've taken away over 25% of their agricultural land by enforcing what they call a buffer zone between, but they put the whole buffer zone on the Gazan side, which is 25% of their agricultural land. So that's farmers that are unemployed now. In the fishing industry, which they're 20 miles to fishing, the Israelis have now reduced that down to 2.5 miles. Inside that 2.5 miles, the fishermen have to provide enough fish to feed 1.7 million people because there's such a shortage of food. There's no storage system in Gaza, so you're talking 28,000 tonne of raw sewage going into the Mediterranean from Gaza every day. Now, that means that the water close to the shoreline is highly polluted. So, yes, you have to go and fish because you need food. So you go out, catch the fish. The fish is of very poor quality because the water is so polluted. But you will feed it to your family, knowing that your family is going to get sick eventually. But you have to feed them something. So you feed them the fish, then they get sick, they go to the hospital. Now there's a burden on the hospital.
Okay, I have to go for the last commercial break, but once we are back, I mean, from the psyche of an average person in Gaza, you know, if you have that constant threat, constant military attack threat by the drones or the sound of the jets or whatever it is, and they have witnessed firsthand, even if they're too young, they would remember Operation Kaslat. They would remember the Samuni family, and they've seen it in front of their eyes. So what kind of mental psyche do we have for an average, normal, young person in Gaza? Because the tendency would be to hate Israel, loathe Israel. So if there's political movement that connects people and raise the consciousness of the people to get hope, so they will attach themselves to that. If they feel that there's no other way for a recourse for them, the world might be concerned, but they can do nothing. They are helpless to help because every day our life is getting worse instead of better, like what you said. So maybe things like this, you know, a commission hearing, even though it's happening thousands of miles away in Kuala Lumpur, but at least somebody is doing something, because otherwise the only alternative left is to fight until death. So how can you give your own opinions on that after this? And we'll revisit that in light of the spirit of people like the great Rachel Corrie in my mind, because there's always hope, but we need to reconnect all these dots to make it matter after this short break.